Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to our presentation tonight. You see on your screens there, Jay and Laura Laffoon, our presenters for the evening. They're going to be talking about making love last. My name is Diane, and I will be your moderator for questions at the end of our time together. So, Jay and Laura, what do you have to share with us tonight?
Well, first of all, welcome. We're so glad you're with us. A little bit of housekeeping up front. Laura and I are in the same house. We just can't be in the same room, or it causes all sorts of problems with the webinar. So I'm in my
All
office.
problems with each other too, so that's great.
Isn't that the case? Well, we're so glad you're here this evening on a wonderful summer evening. I don't know where you're from, but here in Michigan, it's a beautiful night. We enjoyed dinner on the patio tonight. Well, let's begin. And if you have issues, go ahead and type a question in there. Very good.
Okay.
Some folks can hear us now. So we are going to get started. And tonight's webinar is entitled Make Love Last. And what we're going to be focusing on, I don't know if you got the email, but you probably should be having your headphones in or the kids out of the room, because we are going to be talking about intimacy tonight. We're not going to get too steamy. Don't worry, it's not going to be anything more than PG. But we all, how come you look like you're in pain, honey, when I said we're talking about
Because you forgot to tell them they get a free gift.
Oh, well, just rub me that. I wanted to give that little disclaimer before we started there. So, yes, on your screen you are seeing our free gift, 2 Actions to Transform Your Marriage. When I marry couples, and I do that every once in a while, and they say they want a short wedding, I say, well, I can give the shortest marriage talk ever. And I will turn to him, and I will say, sir, you need to talk more. And I will turn to her, and I will say, you need to have more sex. That's the end of the talk. Well, that's not the end of this little ebook, but it is basically the fact that men, we need to talk more to our wives, and ladies, your husband needs a little more romance in his life.
And you can grab that down at the handout section on your control panel. If you look way down at the bottom, there's
handout
a
number 1
PDF down there where you can download that. So.
Now, we are not going to make this a super long webinar, but if you do stay till the end, we want to tell you that we're going to give you a second gift. If you take the survey, that is for, at the end, it'll be in your email, and at the end of the seminar, you will get a email survey. It's quick, 4 questions, just 4 questions. And if you answer those 4 questions, we will give you a second gift, one of our most popular books of all time. So, yes, this is not for you.
That I'm sitting in a window.
Yeah.
Oh, you're so pretty. Can you slide one way or the other and get in the sun?
I'm going to stay right here. Because at least they can see me. Just my halo.
Let's get started, because we are going to talk about intimacy, and we are going to talk about sex. So it is not for younger ears, but years ago, Cosmopolitan magazine asked me and Laura to write a article on your best sex ever. Well, we can't publish it that way online and on Facebook, but we really want to talk about the purpose of intimacy, because Cosmo was looking for the next little tip, and we're talking about real application that can help you in your marriage and your romance life, because you may be good friends, you may be great partners, but to make love last until you're 60, 70, 80 years old, you've got to keep the intimacy alive, that spark of intimacy.
And do you guys get that play on words, make love last? See? Isn't that funny? Anyway, hey, I read this really cool thing on Facebook that I wanted to read to you guys tonight, because I wouldn't be able to remember it all. But this is kind of a introduction for our 3 techniques for making love last. The purpose for sex is to create a supernatural bond between a husband and a wife that will never be broken. In line with this, sex is actually designed to be addictive. Sex creates a nuclear-powered desire, and I found that funny, a nuclear-powered desire for a husband to be with his wife. It makes him think about her throughout the day. It makes him eager to be with her. It makes him want to serve her and to love her. And for the woman, it helps her to feel the closeness of their relationship as they become one in the marital act. Sex is the atomic bond that holds, not bomb, atomic bond that holds a marriage together. Nuclear radiation can be a good thing, or it can be a bad thing. It can be good when it is used in a controlled environment for a specific purpose. It can be used to provide energy to a city, heal a person from a disease, or to heat a cup of coffee in 60 seconds. And this was a Facebook post by Chris Russell in an article that I read. And it really just, for me, helps us realize how special this bond of intimacy is. I read another article. I do that a lot. A survey was done with 2 different groups of married couples. Excuse me, I've had a cold for a week. One group was told they needed to double the amount of sex they had in a month. The other group of couples was told to do nothing different, keep it the same. After the study was done, what they found was quite astonishing, because the group of couples that doubled the amount of sex they were having were not any happier. And what this made me realize was that it's not the quantity, it's the quality. And that's why we want to talk about tonight those 3 techniques for making love last.
And I do think there's a misconception in our culture that quantity is a good thing. And don't get me wrong, we believe couples need to have regular sexual intimacy, but it is more about making love than having sex. You know, animals have sex. People hooking up in a nightclub have sex. But the bond of making love is what we're talking about here, and the way to really grow your marriage and the passion in your marriage and to make love last. Now, before we go any further, we do want to say that we want to take your questions. So as you have questions, as we're walking through this, as we're unpacking some of the different items, feel free to ask a question. We'll stop right there if we need to, or Diane will moderate and say, no, we can hold that to the end. But we do want to take your questions. So let's dive right in. Every couple can make love last. Did you want to say something?
I was just going to go on to the first technique, but you...
Yeah, we can make love last by by following these 3 tried and true techniques. And the first one is anticipation.
It's kind of like you anticipate Christmas. You anticipate that vacation and the excitement that it builds inside you. That's what we're talking about. So when it comes to your intimate life, you want to build that anticipation.
I really believe this, and Laura and I have seen this work in our own marriage, and it's kind of like, again, Hollywood tells you that spontaneity, ooh, that's the way to go. No? And really, spontaneity is highly overrated because it does not create a longing, a desire, that urge that you have to be with your partner in a meaningful and loving way. And so we really encourage couples to work on anticipation. And what we tell couples is this: start in the morning, first thing. First thing in the morning, if you and your spouse have a regular, time of the week, time of the month, whatever, that you are intimate, start in the morning. Look each other in the eyes, give each other a kiss, and make sure that you communicate in verbal and nonverbal ways what you have planned, and the fact that you're looking forward to it, and that there's great anticipation in what's coming down the road.
There's 2 different types of anticipation. You can create physical anticipation, and you may have not heard this before, but gentlemen, your wife is like a crock pot. Okay, it's a slow cooker. You have to plug her in first thing in the morning, and the way you plug her in is different ways. You can give her a kiss that'll make her think about you all day long. We're talking about physical anticipation. Holding her hand maybe over coffee in the morning, or giving her shoulder rub. Some of those physical touches that don't have necessarily any agenda behind them right now, but they're just a physical touch that will help her begin to create that anticipation. Another type of anticipation is mental anticipation. And this can be done in a couple ways too. Gentlemen, send your wife a text during the day that just says, hey, I'm looking forward to being home tonight. You know, another way you can do this is when you do come home and you're having conversation over dinner or about your day. Gentlemen, put your phone down. Don't read the newspaper. Turn off the TV and actually have contact, eye-to-eye contact with your wife. And that will create some mental anticipation. Jay, what are some of the things that women can do?
Well, ladies, I'm just going to be honest. You have a lot more power when it comes to this anticipation than we do. A brush of your body against ours in the morning and a whisper, hey, I'm looking forward tonight. That's all it takes. Because if women are like crackpots, men are like microwaves, and you will have him thinking all day long about you and hopefully communicating to you in a way that will, throughout the day, make you anticipate him as well. I do think, too, ladies, we understand as men that you do have to think about it all day long. And so letting him know that he's going to be on your mind all day, even though there's kids in the house, even though you have a job, even though there could be a million distractions, that today I'm focused on you. And as a result, that cements in his mind that you are in your own person creating the anticipation as well.
And understanding, gentlemen, that your wife does need to think about it all day, but there's so much else going on. That's why it's so important to plug that crock pot in first thing in the morning and keep it going all day, whether it's via text or a phone call, or maybe you leave a little note in the bedroom when you leave for work. Whatever it might be, that you can continue that anticipation throughout the day so she continues to think about you all day.
Yeah, I'm kind of goofy. Most people know that. And
Kind of.
so a lot of the ways that I create anticipation with Laura is ways that make her roll her eyes, but I think she knows in my goofy way that this is me saying, hey, I'm thinking about you and your loveliness, as it were. So anticipation, you've got to create the anticipation. It really does.
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, it really does enhance the experience. And again, we're trying to help you make love last. We're not trying to help you have more sex. We're trying to help you have better sex. And anticipation is a key part of that.
Are there any questions about anticipation? You can type it in that little...
And I know some of you are probably going, I have plenty of questions, Jay and Laura, but we're not as open as you two, so we're not and that's okay. We understand that kind of thing can happen. But so we're going to talk next about the next technique is attitude. Attitude is everything, and this goes both ways. Attitude for men, attitude for women. And honey, why don't you start us off here?
Well, I was just thinking it kind of ties in with that. Women have to think about it all day, and as a woman, you know, if you're at work, it's going to be hard to think about your husband all day because you're concentrating on work. If you're home with the kids, it's going to be hard to think about your husband all day because you got kids screaming. It's summertime, they're home. You know, you just got stuff to do, laundry to do, house to be clean. So it's hard to find a break in your brain, but we really have to do that. We have to make ourselves slow down during the day, maybe while the kids are out coloring or you're at the swimming pool or whatever, and turn your thoughts purposefully towards your husband. I can remember when Jay first started on the speaking circuit, he was doing a lot of youth speaking, and he'd be gone from Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday many times. And I'm home with the kids for the whole weekend, a single parent, but I would have to start on Saturday afternoon going, you know what, he's coming home tomorrow, and he's been gone for 4 days, and I need to now start turning my attitude towards anticipating the fact that he is coming home. So they kind of interconnect, this anticipation and attitude, but really working on our attitudes, ladies, and gentlemen, really helping your wife do that.
Laura,
some ways,
we do have a question that is very appropriate, I think, as to what you're talking about right now. Romy asks, how do you keep the anticipation going when you get home and life gets in the way?
Great question, Romy. Awesome question, because you know there are some times, and just true confessions right now. Okay, we have a teenage daughter, and there are many evenings where Grace is out, she's having a good time. Laura and I are connecting as a couple, you know, while we're reading or watching TV, and then Grace comes home and there's a crisis, and it's just like it ain't gonna happen tonight. You have to, we'll talk about this in the third technique, but you really have to communicate to one another that this was an unavoidable thing. This really wasn't either one of our intentions. You know, maybe somebody burnt dinner and the fire alarm went off or something. You know, there's all these kind of things. We talked to a lady the other day whose toilet backed up. You know, there's a mood killer if there ever was one. But you know, you have to anticipate those, and then I don't want to say reschedule because that sounds so cold and calculating.
But sometimes that's what you have to do.
But talk about, okay, it didn't work out tonight, but when are we going to be able to make this work out again?
And I think also for us as moms, who when we do come home, if we've worked a full day in the office, and now we come home and dinner needs to be made and kids, this is where I was going with you gentlemen. Hopefully, Ron, this will answer your question. Gentlemen, being prepared to come home and help your wife. Because the most important thing for attitude is to clear your brain, both hers and his, and her brain can only be cleared when that checklist is done. Dinner's done, kids are bathed, kids are in bed. So helping her make sure that all happens will benefit you in the end.
I'll never forget. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, I'll never forget one weekend I came home, and I got home early, and I was home actually for Sunday lunch. This was early on when I was doing youth speaking. And Sunday lunch, we had our family over. It was wonderful. And as soon as Sunday lunch was over, I started cleaning the table because I'm like, okay, I'm going to help her. I'm going to make sure it's all over and we're done. And I'm cleaning the table, and everyone else is sitting around the table having conversation. Well, Laura's love language is not acts of service. It's quality time. And so that kind of backfired because I was doing acts of service because I thought that's what she wanted. But no, she really would have preferred me to sit around the table and communicate with everyone. So, again, there's no science here. Okay, there is no formula, and it really comes to that point of talking about it, and so we want to tackle that in the third technique. So, Romy, hopefully that answered your question. If it didn't, we can follow up here a little bit more at the end.
I was just going to say some other ways that you can help with attitude is to, gentlemen, come home and be prepared to have great conversation, because that's what your wife needs, is to converse with you in order to feel bonded before the next type of bonding can happen.
And gentlemen, that can only happen if you stay emotionally full. If you come home emotionally empty, guess what? That isn't going to happen. You're not going to have anything left for your wife, and then she's not going to have anything left for you.
And so I was also going to, I'm sorry to keep interrupting you, but I have more to say. The other way, gentlemen, that you can clear your brain is to not bring work home with you.
Yes.
Leave work at the office. We have our office in our home. And so there are many times that I say to Jay, you know what, the office is closed. That email can wait till tomorrow. If you need to shut the office door, whatever it is we need to do. But gentlemen, actually leaving that work at home. Don't come home and try and get work done and then expect your wife to be in a romantic mood, because you've come home and your brain isn't cleared from the day either. So really that clearing of the brain is highly important for attitude.
So, ladies, I'm about to tell you something that you're probably not going to believe, okay? I say this from stage all the time. Your husband does not want to have sex every day. Now, some of you are laughing right now. You're laughing at that statement. He'd like to think he'd like to have sex every day, but he really doesn't, because deep down, your husband loves you. He doesn't want to just have sex. He wants to make love. Now, I'll give you this illustration. I would love to play golf every day, but I can't. But that doesn't mean that I don't like to stare at my golf clubs and think about hitting that perfect drive or that perfect sand shot. And so your husband may talk about those things that he likes.
You do not sit and stare at your golf club. People are think you're a freak. You don't sit.
When I get out of the car, they're in the garage. They're right there. I kind of think about them for a minute.
That's true. You do.
But he really doesn't. But what he needs to know from you is that, boy, honey, I love making love to you, and when it's right, it's really, really right. Again, like Laura said, men, you've got to clear your brain in one way, and that is not bringing home work, not watching TV, and expecting her to then all of a sudden be magical in the bedroom. And ladies, you need to clear the clutter. And I will tell you this: the longer you're in your relationship, the more you can ebb and flow with this and help each other do these things without making each other upset.
So we have anticipate, we have attitude, and the third technique is articulate. Communicate about your sex life. Now, there's lots of different ways you can communicate. I say this to Jay, don't ask the question, make the statement. Here, I'll give you this illustration. The other evening, we were connecting. We had conversed about what the evening was going to hold, and we had also made a plan about TV shows. We love to just kind of unwind at night by watching some of our favorite TV shows. And so this particular night, we had 2-hour-long shows we were going to watch, but we had already discussed a plan for how the evening was going to go, if you're getting my drift. Well, after the first hour-long show, the second hour-long show was like my favorite. And so I'm getting it all keyed up on Netflix and stuff and getting it ready. And Jay comes in and he goes, "You don't really want to watch that another hour show, do you? Wouldn't you rather watch a half-hour show?" And I said, "No."
I was anticipating.
I'd really rather watch this show because that's what we had planned to do. Now, I didn't think fast enough to realize what he was saying because his attitude was a little off. But what I needed him to say was, hey, wouldn't it be better if we went upstairs and turned the half-hour show on Netflix upstairs while we're laying in bed? Then that would have been different. But hey, do you really want to watch that show? I mean, don't ask the question, make the statement, gentlemen. Articulate what you need from your wife, and vice versa. Ladies, articulate what you need from your husband.
Well,
What's so funny? What's so funny? Oh, okay.
Yeah, Romy's husband is telling you, Jay, that you're a liar and you need to stop lying because he does want it every day.
Well, I want ice cream every day, but that doesn't mean you can have it. So.
Hey, here's the deal. You may want it every day, but you wouldn't be capable, I don't think. Maybe you're Superman.
Well, and John thinks that it's pretty normal for Jay to anticipate his golf game by staring at his golf club.
That's right. That's right. Visualize that great golf game. There you go. So here's one of the things that we teach, and that is that we have to communicate in every room of the house, whether it's the kitchen, the living room, the dining room, however your house is configured. But the most important place for quality communication to take place is in the bedroom. Laura and I spent years conversing, sometimes disagreeing, sometimes really a lot of struggle with what is fair to both of us in the bedroom. What is a reasonable expectation on both of our sides in the bedroom. And I think the only way that you can walk through that and come out the other side happy and content and more in love is to talk about it. And yes, it's difficult. Okay, it's funny because we watch television shows about sex. Some people read books, not us, but some people read books about sex. There's all sorts of intimacy things in different magazines, from women's magazines to bad magazines. Talk about your needs and your desires when it comes to your sex life, because that starts putting information into the brain of your spouse that can be processed. And I'll be honest, early in our marriage, Laura would climb in bed every night with a book, and I finally had to say to her, honey, are you going to make love to your book tonight or to me? Now, that wasn't the best way to start the conversation, but we were able later.
Again, you asked a question instead of making a statement.
Right. But we were able to talk about this at length. And over the years, Laura and I have had many conversations because I don't know how long most of you have been married. Laura and I, it's going to be 31 years, and things change. You go from newlyweds to having little kids to having big kids to having no kids, and it all changes, and it never, you're never going to figure it out. It's always going to be part of that mystery that the Bible talks about when it comes to husband and wife.
And Jay's right. If there's one area of your marriage that you should be talking about on a regular basis, it is your intimate life. And really working on that, because like I read in the beginning, it is that atomic bond that holds a marriage together. And so often we're so afraid to talk about it. We don't want it to sound like this is a plan. Isn't it supposed to be spontaneous? No, it's not. You have to make a plan for getting your car maintained. You have to make a plan for cleaning your house. You make a plan for what your kids are going to do. But we don't make a plan for our marriage so often. And so really can't stress enough really how important it is to articulate about this part of your marriage.
And ladies, here's what you need to understand. And again, let me just say this, okay? For every 5 people out there, one of the 5, the wife has a higher sex drive than the husband. So this could be roles reversed here for you if you're one of those. But the reality is the way we talk to each other about sex is huge. Because, ladies, men take you saying no as rejection. Plain and simple. Even if you are throwing up with a fever and saying, really, tonight? Well, gee, I thought I could make you feel better. I don't know. I was just a silly man. But, the bottom line is be careful how you use your words when it comes to your intimate life. But don't be afraid to use words and learn what works and what doesn't work in communicating with your spouse. If I've had a particularly hard day and it's been a particularly long time since we've been intimate, I tend to get a little edge in my voice. And Laura will say, why are you being so mean to me? Well, I'm not being mean. I just have an edge in my voice because of other things that are taking place. But so don't be afraid to articulate your needs, talk about them. Obviously, you have to make time to talk about them. So make the time, take the time, and watch your marriage reap the benefits.
I'm putting my finger up so he sees me that I have something else to say. Going back to that, if you are one of those women who have the higher sex drive, again, this is so important to discuss. And I had a friend years ago who we were in a women's Bible study together, and there were probably 10 women in the group. And, you know, on a regular basis, we talk about what pigs our husband were. You know, it's a Bible study, so, you know. But, you know, because all I want to do is have sex. And this poor woman in the group never said a thing. And after a couple weeks, she finally spoke up and she said, you know what? Something must be wrong with me then, because my husband doesn't have the same desire that your husband seemed to. And what it was she was the one with the higher sex drive, but they had never discussed it. And so she thought something was wrong with her because he obviously wasn't attracted to her when he was. It was just they needed to talk about this. So again, that's how important it really is that we need to use this third technique of articulate.
Looks like we've got another good question. How do you use words when, say, the wife is in the perimenopausal stage? And I can attest to that, okay? Because menopause has me longing for the good old days of PMS. I mean, it is that. Yeah, it can be like that. Yeah, words can get really, really rough quick when there's hormones involved, and so we've got to give each other grace, and we've got to work through the different life stages, and that would be what I would say. I wish it wouldn't. I wish it wasn't. I wish it was simpler than that, but it's not.
Well, and in this stage of life, there could be lots of medical issues that go on with a woman. And again, talking to your doctor about, you know, because that will decrease the sex drive. And if you already are the low, you know, so there's all kinds of stuff going on in a woman's body in this time. And so really being in tune with your body, discussing it with your husband, and discussing with your doctor what are some things that, you know, that you could do to help enhance that.
So there we have it. We've got anticipation. Create anticipation in your love life. Have an attitude that reflects how much you want to be together, and then articulate your needs. The three techniques for making love last. Now, we really would love to answer some questions from you. So we've had a couple people make comments, but we'd love to hear from some others of you. If you have any questions, we'd be happy to do so and answer those right now.
And the way you submit your questions, there's a box on the right-hand side of your screen in that GoToWebinar control panel that says questions. And you just type a question right there, and we will make sure Jay and Laura hear it or see it. Here's one from John. What about if you're a morning person and your spouse is a night person?
Well, let's just talk about that, because for years
we just had this
I was the night person and Laura was the morning person. And I've just had to learn to appreciate the mornings.
No, I'm reading that totally different than the way you are.
Oh! So in other words, one of you likes to stay up late and one of you likes to go to the...
Exactly. You were going with, you only do it in the dark, not in the daylight. That's where you were going with.
Yes.
But we did just have this discussion.
Look how red I am. Oh my God.
Because I like to stay up late and watch shows or sit and talk, you know, read a book. I like to stay up late and then sleep late in the morning. And Jay, excuse me, no matter how late we stay up, he gets up at the same time. So then he gets exhausted and he's tired. And so we did just really have this discussion yesterday. He said, you know what? I can't stay up as late as you do and not fall asleep, because he has this tendency to fall asleep. So again, you got to discuss it, and you got to what's fair and what's good for the relationship. And so I got up earlier this morning just.
Well, and seriously, at our life stage, what we've talked about is the fact that once Grace leaves for college, we are choosing to go to bed together and get up together, and we're going to make it a schedule that's fair. You know, I'm not going to.
We always go to bed together. We just don't always get up together.
Right, because Laura is a sleeper, and by sleeper I mean she could sleep all day. But anyway, what's fair to our relationship? Please don't ask me to stay up till 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, and I won't ask you to get up at 6. Let's work something out that works for both of us. And that really, again, comes to the articulating it to one another so that you can come to an agreement that is digestible for both of you. Got another one here, and Laura, I think this might be
Give
more
more examples of mental anticipation. This is really just creating a mindset. Trying to think of, using technology as far as sending a text, making a phone call, putting a note. But I'm trying to think of other ways you could do this. Just that
can I give an
mental.
example?
Sure.
When I was in college, I had I developed a very foul mouth. I cursed a lot. And being a Christian, I didn't want to do that. And so I literally prayed to the Lord, okay, Jesus, help me stop short every time I'm about to say a curse word. And it didn't work all the time, but it worked a lot of the time, and to the point where then I was able to control my tongue. And I think the same thing is true for this. When was the last time, and I'm not directing this to anyone specifically as much as maybe I am even myself and Laura, when was the last time you prayed about your sex life? Lord, help me anticipate. Give me reasons each day to remember why I love my spouse. Give me reasons each day to remember why I want to be with them in this way. And to me, that was something that's worked in a number of different areas of my life where I've just prayed and said, Lord, take this, and it's yours. And it really is a powerful way, if you are a believer, to allow the Lord into your love life, which He's there anyway, so why not help Him or allow Him to help take control?
Hopefully that helped. That was a great answer.
Well, thank you, honey. Oh, look, we've got a bunch of them now.
Uh-oh.
How can a woman become more comfortable being vocal during sex? Well, there are those la 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 vocal exercises. Oh, that's what she's talking about. That's a great question.
That's a good question. How can you be, I think, again, with anything, once you're vocal the first time, try it another time, try it. And then as you do it more, you'll become more comfortable. That's the only thing I can think of right off the top of my head is just like you would become comfortable with anything that's not comfortable for you in the beginning, is that we have to continue to do it more so that we become more comfortable with it.
And here's...
And to be honest, when there's children in the house, it's going to be hard to be vocal.
Right.
I think.
My Tarzan yell doesn't go over when there's kids in the house, but here is something serious. Sorry, honey. I see that look.
That's fine.
Seriously, maybe at first it's not during your lovemaking session. Maybe it's afterward where you articulate, "Wow, that was great. I really appreciated that."
Or.
Yeah. Now she's talking about women. How can the women become more comfortable? Because yes, men afterward sometimes. Yes.
Looks like we answered John's question already. Let's see.
Yes, very good. Got any others here? Oh my goodness. Text, eye contact, conversations, and notes. Anything else?
That's a
Laura,
sub question to the
it's a comment.
Right, to something
Here's
you
a
already
great
answered.
comment.
Yeah.
I like to leave notes in my husband's lunchbox or in the overnight bag if he has to go out of town. Yes, yes, yes. Especially in the overnight bag for going out of town, because Satan lives on the road. Okay, I'm just going to be honest. And when I started you speaking on the road, it was back in the early '90s. I got a cell phone before anyone had a cell phone so that we could stay connected when I was on the road. So find those ways. Perfect. That is very good, Linda. Very good.
Here, this is a really good question. Laura, how have you dealt with just not being in the mood but being called to submission and honor your husband in this way? Again, that goes to the way Jay answered another question. Lord, I need help here because my tank is empty. I have no energy. But I know it's been a long time. And, I think if we can clear our brains and we know that our husbands are in deep need, then praying and saying, Lord, create the desire in me. And following through whether you feel the desire or not, you will feel the desire before it's over. That's the correct answer. Yes, I have had to deal with that.
Yes, it's like, and not trying to be whatever, but for Laura, it's like, oh, that's right, I do enjoy this after all, don't I? So again, just keep working at it. Got another great question.
This is a great question. How do you find time to be intimate when you have small children? We have 2- and 4-year-olds. Sorry, I'm not putting on my glasses. That like to wander into mommy and daddy's room at night. Well, here I heard this. I think it might be from Michael Seitzma, who is one of America's leading Christian sex therapists, and he says, here's what we have to do. As a married couple, we have to make, excuse me, make our bedroom, I was pointing at you to see if you could continue, but make our bedroom a sanctuary. And that means you have to communicate that to your children. When our kids were young, we locked the door. They're asleep, they're fine. I know that they go, oh, mommy, the door is locked, whatever. You have to start young having conversations with your kids. Now, they're 2 and 4.
Probably the 4-year-old's ready.
But just letting them know that this is mommy and daddy's time. Mommy and daddy need time. And it sounds a lot easier coming from my mouth than actually making it happen. I understand that. But beginning that creating of your bedroom being a sanctuary and communicating to your kids that, you know what, on Saturday morning it's okay if you come jump in bed with mommy and daddy, but it's not okay for you to just come in our room whenever you want. You need to knock on the door first and wait for mom and dad to say you may come in. That's the way we did it, and
yes,
never had an issue.
You may have tears. You may have tears
Yes.
at first, but it will develop. I'll never forget our son when we were living in a different house. Our television room was a long way away from the upstairs, and he would always want to wander down, and we had to put our feet down. Well, occasionally we would find him sleeping at the top of the stairs because we found out that you could hear the television at the top of the stairs. So create boundaries. If mommy and daddy's door is locked, you're not allowed in, but then be flexible, realizing they are young. But discuss it as mom and dad. Don't just make the decision unilaterally and say, sorry, we're going to let them in.
And this is when you have to get creative with date nights. Hey, I have a friend, Mary Jo. Hey, I'll keep your kids this Friday night if you'll keep my kids next Friday night. And just planning ahead, again, that anticipation, but knowing that this is date night. This is what this means. Kids are going to be staying at somebody else's house, maybe grandma and grandpa's, however you can do that. And, we just have to be creative.
And the girlfriend date that Laura just mentioned is really a great way. We've had countless people tell us, my parents did that and I never even knew it. I always went over to Uncle Al's house. He and Aunt Jenny, would keep us every once in a while on the weekend. Well, he wasn't their uncle. He was just a good friend, and Jenny was a good friend that agreed to take the kids so that mom and dad could have some alone time and vice versa. Find some trusted friends that you can do this with, and you'll both have a better love life. Any other questions? Great questions, guys. This has been fun. Been a lot of fun, and we don't want to keep you too long because we do.
But we do have some things we want to let you know.
Yes. So first of all, I don't know, Diane, can you hit that next slide? This coming October, we have our Grand Hotel Conference, and because you've come here tonight, we are going to give you a $10 per person discount just because you showed up tonight, and that's off of your registration fee. And hopefully that will be a little incentive. It'll help you buy your ferry tickets and come and see us October 4 and 5, beautiful Grand Hotel. This is one of those opportunities where you can anticipate, have a great attitude because you're going to be in a wonderful location, and articulate how you wish you could be here all the time, but you can't. But make arrangements. Get Grandma and Grandpa to watch the kids and come and join us. We'll give you the discount webinar.
We also have, like Jay said in the beginning, we're going to give you, if you take the survey that you will receive in your email after this webinar, take that survey and you will receive our Holy Sex ebook as a gift and a thank you.
And this is really one of the things that is important to us. Laura and I want to provide these for free. We have a desire to help folks, and we know that not everybody can pay to come to things. But the only way we can improve these, the only way we can make these better for you is if we get your feedback. And like we said, 4 quick questions, and It'll allow us to make these better. So complete our survey, and you will get our #1 best-selling book of all time, Make Love Every Day. Well, I think that's it. We love you guys. You're good friends, and we appreciate you being here, and we hope that you will make love last. Have a great night.